to the music scene, showing lots of love for the community. With great advice, I know who I should go see. So Around Town Radio Show is where I go for the latest band info. So Around Town Radio Show for the music that comforts my soul. It's the All Around Town Radio Show. The All Around Town Radio.
All right. Welcome to the program, everybody. It is a nooner here on a Wednesday. It's Wednesday with the band. It's All Around Town Radio, and I'm Scott Hall, your host. We've been having a few technical issues. We'll be right back with you in just a moment.
It's the Weekend Review. Top 5 coming for you. Speaking with the fans, sometimes they don't show well. Whatever, man. We're coming, who's playing out? Off the open jam with the Who's Who of Talent. Come Friday night, ready to raise some hell.
Hi, guys. How we doing? I don't know what the hell's going on here. We're having all kinds of fun. Fellas, I got you on the one camera. I don't know if we can let's you want to see which one's better? I don't care at this point. All right. Yeah.
Echo again.
We're getting a hell of an echo back on this one. Let me try the other one real quick, and we'll see what we can do. Let's try that one.
Okay, the camera.
Yeah, I'm hearing myself back in your feed there, fellas.
Okay, let's mute the phone. Let's turn off the phone camera then.
Yeah, kill that.
All right, cool, excellent. Hi, Mom.
How we doing, everybody? You guys all right?
Doing great.
Doing good.
Yeah, thanks.
Welcome to the chaos on a Wednesday here of live interviews, guys, and that's what happens sometimes. We were trying to get this all set up and been having a funky time here today, but we're getting there. And I'll tell you what, I've got with me Five Stone. Might as well introduce these guys. Go ahead and introduce yourself to the audience, if you will, fellas.
Go ahead, Spencer.
All right, hey, I'm Spencer, and I sing and play guitar in Five Stone.
And I'm Steve. I do the same thing.
Well, Spencer and Steve, thank you. And we are watching you like it's a Chinese movie. So everybody knows we're having some digital difficulties today with their feed. So we can do whatever. If you want to keep it on this, we can. And we can go from there. And just I can hear you fine. I just can't see your lips moving. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, we'll just kind of go with that for now. And,
Yeah.
Just so we're not stressed out over that thing.
See what happens. Yeah. And I want to say hi to Glenn checking in on the nooner here from YouTube. Jeff Smith, thanks for joining us.
Hey, Jeff.
Sugar Rock in the house. Thank you. And Nan. Hi, Nan.
Hi, Nanny. That's my aunt.
Is that your aunt?
She's the best.
Spencer's aunt. Hey, I want to say I really enjoy your band, guys, and one of the reasons you guys are on here is the fact that you've put together this new project. I used to see the SFP, as it was known, and quite a bit, and you have transformed now by adding Spencer to the mix and some things into this powerhouse 70s rock show. And let's talk about that. How long has this band been together, playing together?
So we got this thing we got it together. I think our first show was in January with this.
Wow. So not long, actually.
Not as Five Stone.
Yeah.
So the plan was, I think we organized it back in October, and we introduced Spencer in January, like I said. So the idea was to start. We got an agent that's a whole nother story in itself. And the idea was to push this into larger venues and that kind of thing. So that's what happened. We put the thing together in October, and like I said, January was the beginning of it.
Yeah.
Did I see one of your first shows? I think at Miamisburg Moose. Maybe you were there.
That was our third show.
Was it?
Yeah, I think the first one that we did as Five Stone was over at Trillions.
Oh yeah, right up the street.
Well, the first time I ever saw Spencer was there at the Moose, and that I was wowed by Spencer and his ability to play songs that are 3 times his age.
Well, thank you so much, Scott. It was great to see you there. That was one of my favorite shows I think we played so far. That was a blast. Everybody was dancing the whole night, man.
Yeah, it was a good time.
So that was fun. Yeah,
They should call that the dance hall there at the Moose, because I don't care what band I go see there. These people are dancing from song 1 till the end of the night. I mean, they really are good party people there. And you guys put on a hell of a show. Spencer, why play this music as young as you are?
You know what's funny is I never anticipated this. We played a wonderful charity benefit about a year ago for I think he's 19 now, a wonderful young man named Jaden Zerlinden over in Lebanon. And we jammed, and it was a blast. And we had Jaden coming up there. He played his first show with us, which was really cool. And like 6 months later, after that, I get a message from Steve. And to be honest, I was a little gobsmacked. I was like, wow, these guys want to play with me. You know, obviously there's the obvious age gap, but you know, hey, it's 2025. Those things can work out. But you know, I think that the bigger thing was that I was just honored because these guys are professionals, you know, to be able to even just talk with them about it. So we met, and it was kind of an instant click. Truth be told, most of the music that we play, I did not know when we started.
I couldn't imagine why.
Right. Well, I mean, you'd think, you know, I've been playing guitar since I was 8. So, you know, a lot of people my age grew up on this amazing music from the 70s. But, you know, I was playing Metallica and Avenged Sevenfold and all that stuff, you know, when I was 8 or 9, which looking back, my parents probably were right to be a little terrified. But now I'm playing the good stuff in my 20s, you know, so.
You know, when we decided at some point to put another person into the band, and we had been talking about it for a long time, and I said, look, it's got to be the right person. It absolutely has to be the right person. And so when we finally got serious about it, Spencer was the first person I thought of. We had done that. He had opened for us at that benefit and then came back out and jammed with us. And it was like, man, that really clicked. So when we started talking about it, I said, what do you guys think about Spencer? And everybody had the same thought. You know, Brian and Tom both, you know, just Brian Humanix, our drummer, and Tom Winters, our bass player. And they both were just like, yeah, Spencer. And I said, what about the age difference? And, you know, everybody was cool with it. And we, you know, said, well, Queen did it, so we should be able to do it too.
Now that's funny. And
so,
guys, I'm seeing your comments out there and questions for the band. If you have a question for the band, drop it in. I'll get it up here in just a minute. And some of your comments are in the so to speak script today to ask. So we'll get to that. But Steve, you've played with a lot of projects, so to speak. Your last one was your project.
Yep.
First of all, tell me how to pronounce your last name, because it gets butchered by people all the time.
All the time. Yeah, it's Falieros. Falieros.
Good. I've been saying it right. Okay,
Yeah.
There we go. Yeah, because I've heard Faleros, I've heard all kinds of stuff,
Yeah,
but Falieros.
Yeah, my daughter used to ride horses, and they announced it as Eagle Falker, and I was like, wow.
Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah,
That's a
that
new
was
twist.
a long way off. But yeah, so it's Falieros.
So some of the bands and projects you've been involved with, I've known for years. You've been playing with some great artists around town. Want to mention those?
Yeah, sure. Stagger Lee was the last 10 years. I did 10 years with Bobby Joe, and prior to that, I took some time off. I played with the Vandells. Then I played with a band back in the early 90s called Robin Thieves, and that was actually with the bass player I play with now. That's in this band, Tom Winter. We've been playing together since '86 together. So.
And Jeff just gave him a big shout out. Said you have the best bass player in Dayton, hands down. There you go.
Yeah, Tom
Thank
is a
you for that.
monster. He is a monster.
Well, your whole set that night, or two or three sets I got to take in, I think that night was a monster set. I mean, it was this. You're not just up there going through the motions. These are some serious songs you're playing, and you play them like Spencer said, like pros. I mean, it's obvious your band is pro level. And Steve, there's a question that popped up here. I'm going to throw in right now because I think it's a good one from Shane DeMoss, who's in Half-Life and Until Rust. And Shane asks, what has been your plan of attack in order to acquire shows at larger venues?
Well, it hasn't actually happened as of yet. Trying to get the agencies involved and do that thing. They're pretty wrapped up. So you just try to be the best band you possibly can be, and put on the best show, and be as professional as you can, and get out there and try to do it.
I think we're really focused on our core audience. We've got some great people who come out every week to see us, and I think we're just really focused on giving them the best show possible, and then they come through for us and spread the word. And so I think that's a huge part of it too. Is just getting our name out there, especially since it's such a new project.
And let's talk about your sets for a minute. Let's talk about some of the songs that might be relatable to the audience who's watching today. So if they decide they want to come see Five Stone, what are they going to hear?
Well, they're going to hear some Cars. They're going to hear it really is. I mean, it's 70s stuff. And if it's not 70s stuff, it's stuff that sounds like the 70s. So, I mean, we do some Zeppelin, we do some Peter Frampton, we do some Stones. It's all the classic bands from the 70s. And we probably, I mean, it might actually go 69 to 79. And then again, the random Lenny Kravitz, kind of thing, just things that sound very 70s.
Well, and it's a good set list. I must say, it's one of those that to me, it's relatable. And every song you hear, you're like, man, this is good stuff. And Spencer, your guitar work, where'd you learn to play it at such a young age that good? I mean, some people play for 60 years and they're not that good. Talk to me, man.
You're too kind, Scott. I really appreciate that, man. What's funny about this whole situation is that so I, like I said, I grew up playing a lot of metal. So, in rehearsals, we'll be in between songs and I'll just start, playing something super fast and crazy. And the guys are like, yeah, we're not doing that. But, what's funny is, when I joined this project, I thought, I want to honor this music as much as I can, but I want to throw, sort of myself in there a little bit. And, being with these guys and, as I said before, and as you've said, Scott, like the pros that they are, they don't really have too much of a, anything against that. They want me to, sort of express myself as a player. So I love the balance that Steve and I have, our guitar sounds are very, very different, but I think complementary. The way we play is very different. I like to play super fast and a little bit simple. And Steve just he grew up in that era and has learned to play in that era where there's just so much technical skill and so much blues influence. So I think, so much of my guitar playing in this band, I'm really just trying to complement what he does so well already. And also I'm very comfortable being a rhythm player. It's one of my favorite things ever. And I think that works out so well because I think Steve has the heart of a true lead guitar player because he grew up with those incredible, your Jimmy Pages and guitar players like that who just owned the fretboard. So I really, to be honest with you, Scott, I mean, so much of it is just trying to complement what he already brilliantly does and has done for so long.
Well, I have to agree with you 100% on that one because Steve is a force. And even when he was playing with Stagger Lee, man, I mean, it was, and those songs didn't necessarily enhance to me his great abilities. Sometimes they're, pretty, when you're playing some country stuff and it's 3-chord songs and all that, it's simple stuff, but he's got great abilities. And did anyone out there watching just have a moment a few minutes ago when Spencer said that he was at rehearsal and they said no to playing like that? I had this Jack Black School of Rock moment looking at him thinking he's that guy on the guitar,
I kind of am, Scott.
Tom is really into that same stuff, and I don't mind it. I just don't know it. I just haven't studied the stuff. And so him and Tom will go off on that stuff. And I'm just like, okay, I'll see you guys in a few minutes. So.
Yeah, let me grab a question here also off the board from Shane DeMoss today. Again, Shane's on a roll today. Thanks, buddy. He said, are you a firm believer in playing as many shows as possible that works with the band's schedule or the opposite? What's your feeling on that?
So
that's a good question.
It was doing as many shows as possible. And now with this thing, we've sort of kind of stepped back a little bit and are being a little bit more particular for a few reasons. Probably the biggest of which is not to burn ourselves out. You know, I mean, there are so many bands out there, and there's a lot of places to play, but they're not all great. You know, they don't, and I don't mean that in a bad way, but what I'm trying to say is that they don't necessarily allow you to show what you are. You know, if there's not a good stage, if you're, you know, crammed into a corner, yeah, it's a gig, and there's nothing wrong with the gig, you know, absolutely. But at the same time, if you can't show what you do, then I'm not sure that you're doing yourselves any favors.
And there are a lot of places, I think, and this is Scott's opinion, that just certainly want to be a live music venue without the ability to be a live music venue. Like you said, no room for a band, a full band. You know, it might be a great place for a guy on a bar stool with an acoustic guitar singing and playing, but it's tough to pack in a full kit and everything else in there. And when you scale that down, then it becomes the unplugged version of your band, which is not necessarily what you guys are. I mean, you're playing 70s rock mostly, so you know that's hard to do unplugged.
It is.
It is.
It is. We've got with the SFP thing, which is still, you know, I still do the solo acoustic. I do the duo acoustic with Tom, and we still have the 3-piece that we can do as well. But that's a whole different animal. You know, it's in the sense that it's the same type of music. It's the same sort of genre, I guess. But it's a little bit more laid back and mellow, you know. So if anybody wants that, that's available too. But this is for Five Stone. So,
and if you see the Five Stone setup and sort of the production that Steve brings to the equation, it's very, you know, our audience who has seen it kind of knows it's a setup for a band. You know, there's a light show and it's all brought, and it's all there for every show we go to, whether we're playing at Froggy's or Trillions or Miamisburg or Middletown Moose. You know, where that production is there, and I think it's to support just the massive sound that we require in order to get our sound across.
Yeah, it's big songs, big sound, and big production. That's what it was in the 70s. And I mean, it wasn't, flashy lights and all that, but certainly you had the light show, you have everything. And I want to say hi to Kenny Patterson, who mentioned he worked with you in Stagger Lee.
Hey, Kenny.
Kenny does some great sound work. And Wally said you crushed it at Froggy's. Thank you for that. Says Steve's a championship musician. There we go.
Thanks, man.
How about that? These folks that are with us today, if you're just joining us, guys, we're having some technical issues on the end of the two fellas I'm talking to here from Five Stone. If they look like they're in a bad Chinese Godzilla movie, that's why.
Because we are.
But they are. But we can hear them, and that's really what matters. I always tell people I have a face for radio anyway, so just listen and listen to the show today, guys, as we talk. I want to move into, Shane mentioned earlier about your set list and some of that, what songs people would relate to. And you said that, but how do you choose the songs? Do you switch it up for every venue you go to, or is it kind of a standard set list?
It's pretty much a standard set list. That's the other nice thing about not playing a ton of shows. You know, if you're not playing every week, you can kind of leave it alone. But, there's a lot of songs. We have, there's probably 60 songs that we can pull from. Spencer still doesn't, at this point isn't familiar with all of them. So we try to keep, him involved with everything. But yeah, it's pretty much the same thing. And
yeah.
Has Spencer ever said to you, Steve, a band that you mentioned playing their song, he's like, I've never heard of that band. Has he ever done that?
Oh yeah.
Band, a song. I don't know.
Band? That's a good point.
Yeah.
No, yeah, actually, good
No,
point.
yeah,
Song, yes,
songs,
the band.
yeah.
Not
This is such a unique situation with, and I know we're dwelling on it a little bit, but him as young as he is playing the tunes that you play, and it's really cool to see. And I think that's part of the attraction as well to your band is, you guys get up there and there's three guys that are just, you could tell they're old school pros.
We're just old.
And then, yeah, well, I didn't want to say that, but then there's this young guy who gets up there and just, it's like he sat in the basement studying 70s music for the last 10 years or something. He's that good.
Oh,
And it's great.
He's a good study, man. I mean, he works really hard. There's been a few things where it's been like, okay, that's cool, but that's not what we're doing. So, but,
absolutely, I second that.
But
Gotcha.
yeah, he's a great player, and like I said, a great study. He works really hard at it. So
Well, let's talk about artists that have influenced you guys in the past and kind of influenced the style and the way you play. Steve, I'll start with you.
well, obviously there's the Jimmy Page thing. I mean, I was a huge Led Zeppelin fan, from the time I started, almost from the time I started playing guitar. And Jeff Beck, Richie Blackmore's in there, and not that I played some, but it's just, I guess I listened to it a lot. I was listening to a recording that I had done, and I was like, and then actually heard some Richie Blackmore stuff after that, and I was like, oh, there's a lot of that in me. So it was, so that's a big one. Yeah, I mean, that just, I don't know, it's all the 70s stuff, but
Jeffrey said it best there. Look at that. Great music transcends time. Thank you for that, Jeffrey.
Very true.
absolutely.
Good comment there. Grocery store vodka in the house, too. Kevin, thank you, Kevin Cooper, for being
Hey,
here. And
Kevin!
Jeff Smith jumping in there saying Steve and especially Tom have been mentors of his for 35 years. So you're getting a lot of good positives today from everybody out there. And that's a good thing. How about you, Spencer, on the influences?
Oh man. I mean, so many. What's interesting about my influences, most people have probably never heard of them. But I will say, more recently in my 20s, Lenny Kravitz for sure is a big one. I've imposed his will on this band. Definitely Slash. I mean, I know that's a little bit later than this, but more recently, I think some of my bigger influences have been like, Mick Jones from Foreigner. Just the way that he writes guitar parts and learning some of the Foreigner stuff in this band has been big, as well as the guitar player for the Cars.
Oh, Elliot Easton.
Elliot Easton.
Brilliant.
His parts are just brilliant, and learning them have been such an interesting experience. But I think a lot of my influences are more rhythm players, to be honest, especially ones that sing while playing as well. I think that's just such a cool skill. And sometimes when you're listening to those records, you don't understand, live what that, singer guitarist has to do while he's singing, those more difficult parts. And so that's been a really interesting and fun thing to tackle being in this band that I just love and adore.
Well, you sound like you're having a great time. And when you said in my 20s a minute ago, I immediately thought, where did I park my walker today to come into the studio? And, this, I think if I can pull it in here, this microphone right here is like over 20 years old. So just so you know that.
Oh, wow.
In the studio.
I guess most of the microphones we use when we're playing are probably older than me.
Oh, yeah. And they smell like Old Bar and Tears. They do. Those microphones.
Oh, yeah.
After so many years. So fondest memories in music. Something stand out to you, Steve? One of your best musical memories in your lifetime? Because you played a lot of places and a lot of bands and such.
So, yeah, I got to go back almost all the way back, right? So in 9th grade, we played a talent show, and I'm going to give a shout out to the guys I played with on that. That was Chris Stewart, David Chamberlain, and Jimmy Moreland. And we had a band called, I don't know if it was Wizard or if it was Stormbringer at the time. Anyway, so we had this band, high school, 9th grade, and played a talent show. And that was just that magical moment. That was, the onstage version of that Beatles moment that people talk about, right? That just keep you high forever. It's just like, I've got to find that high again. It was amazing. So that I've had some really great times on stage, but that one just really, Franklin Junior High School, and man, it was just magic.
That's funny you say that, because I ask that question a lot in the interviews we do with musicians, and many people go back to that moment in a talent show when they got on stage and actually killed a song and did it well in front of their peers, and it was like, this is so cool. I'm a guitar player and all the chicks on the playground dig me type thing.
Yeah, it did wonders for my ego, which I guess we all have to go through that. So yeah, I had to get my ego in check, but that was also a very, very valuable lesson. But yeah,
Isn't it
man,
funny, Steve, how the ego goes away as you get older, though? I mean, you play for so long and you're like, I've seen all this stuff. There's nothing, let me go talk to these people and have some fun tonight.
Exactly. That's it. And, to realize that, man, there are so many other great players and I don't even come close. It's just, and it's great. I mean, it's just great to put yourself there and go, I'm one of them. I'm one of these, players that are out there, but man, there's so many people that are so much better. So,
well, you're pretty damn good. I'll say that.
Well, thank you, Scott.
Spencer, in your 12 years of life, do you have any, do you have any memorable moments?
That phone call.
That phone call?
When we called you.
Oh, yeah.
That's like being drafted in the NFL or something.
Facebook message.
Oh, it's a Facebook message.
You know what's funny, Scott? I was thinking about that while Steve was answering the question, and I got to tell you, I've been able to do a lot of wonderful things, but my experience was much different. We didn't have talent shows. We didn't have, my generation. We fought to play any sort of show. We didn't have live music. Live bands were weird and not cool. So I think, to be honest, like the coolest thing for me, as being, just because I lived in Los Angeles for 5 years and recorded in a few really cool studios there. I think the studio experience, at least at this point in my life, I hope it changes to show memories, but the studio experience has been my favorite part. And I think one memory I can pull out specifically is we recorded some videos here at Steve's studio at Cincy Sound here in Butler County, setting up the guitar amps and hearing that 70s sound 100%. Steve, being the wizard he is, got behind, or being the Stormbringer he is, got on my amp and, messed with things. And we just used the classic guitar setup that I wasn't used to. Hearing the sound and the roar of that amp was magic. It was kind of something that I never knew that I always needed. And I've been addicted to that. When we play live, I just stand in front of my amp and just listen to it, and I'm just blown away. I think it's experiencing that sound, that iconic sound, has been one of the biggest and most impactful music memories, because it reminded me that the best music is real. And the 70s, we were going to the origin of rock and roll, or at least to me. I know rock and roll goes before that, the 50s and 60s, but hearing that true sound of rock and hearing what created that music from the 90s and 2000s that influenced me growing up was definitely the most impactful experience I've had in a very long time in music.
Absolutely. And the 70s, I mean, if anything describes wonderful guitar, the 70s are it, because you play hell to find guitar on any recordings today. And and you were saying about the talent show thing too. You didn't have them in your era. That's because everybody has to win. You can't have anybody win the talent show anymore. That's how that works.
Oh man, we had two.
We're gonna go there, Scott.
No, I just thought I'd throw that out there. Just
everybody gets a trophy.
Hey, they do, man.
To be honest, that's
nobody gets their dreams crushed today.
We had in my junior high, we didn't even have an A and a B team for basketball. We had 2 B teams, and we were both terrible. This is kind of the way I grew up, man. We didn't have much of that stuff. It was just
right.
Nope, no talent shows, and people didn't care about bands, and it was different. I'm jealous of people who grew up in the 70s, 80s, or, even the 90s. I think in a lot of ways, especially the 90s, because you had that point of things were changing and music was changing, but bands were still huge. People still went to see bands. And so growing up, I had to fight to play any sort of show, and that was annoying, because I grew up watching these wonderful bands build a local following and grow and grow and grow. And so being in this band and having an audience that really appreciates and respects live music is just, it's a wonderful feeling, man. It's awesome. I win a trophy.
You don't have to worry about that
with these guys.
You don't have to worry about that anymore, because you're in a band now that people want to go see, and you're going to get plenty of gigs. I guarantee it. And that's something, if you're watching today, and we know a lot of you are going to watch after we're live. So if you're watching, you can throw a comment in there. These guys are going to share it on their page. They can answer you if you have a question for the band, but also go to their page, 5 Stone, and like their page if you can. That would be, you can follow them at 5 Stone on Facebook, or at 5 Stone basically on the web at 5stonemusic.com. So if you will, go follow these guys, give them some likes, and that way you'll know when their next show is. And speaking of that, let's talk about some upcoming gigs you guys might have coming.
Well, that's a good thing to talk about. Let me see my phone.
We didn't get a chance as we were having technical issues here to prepare for any of these, so I'm throwing him kind of a curveball here.
Yeah,
But upcoming gigs,
just, when you're booking it all the time, you kind of just go, oh, okay, well, it's there. So you got.
Well, you can just say too, go to our page at 5 Stone on Facebook and find it.
Yeah, 5 Stone Music, and that is also the SFP page. When you get there, it all goes to the same thing. So you'll see the other dates, where I'm doing my solo stuff or that. So
Right.
Something I wanted to
shows.
Go ahead.
And let's see if it loads. All right. So Friday, May 2nd at Miamisburg Moose.
There we go.
One of our great
Huge
spots.
room.
Our next show.
We got Trillions coming up as well.
Trillions on Friday, May 23rd. And then let's see.
I think we're at Trillions pretty much once a month.
Yeah.
So that's a great place to catch us.
We're back at Froggy's in June, which is a great spot. And then June 7th, we're doing an afternoon gig at the annual Middletown Police Department Jeep and Eats.
That'll be fun.
That'll be a good one.
Yep.
And then we're back at Middletown Moose on June 13th. Quaker Steak.
That's a
Is it an acoustic?
I think no,
that's us.
Bike night probably there, right?
No, actually that's a fundraiser. I believe it's open to the public. It's a Quaker Steak and Lube over in Batavia, but it's a fundraiser for. I will have to double check on that, but anyway, so that's 1 to 4 in the afternoon.
Hey, quick question, guys, coming in on the board here. How did you come up with the name 5 Stone?
So, well, let's go back to SFP, the Steve Folieros project. That was easy, right? So band names, and anybody that's ever been in a band knows that picking a band name is horrible. It's like we're adults and we're going to sit around and go, okay, what about this name? What about this name? So it was one of those things where we need a name. Let's get. I didn't. The SFP thing didn't. It worked because I'd been with Stagger Lee for so long, and I had a pretty good fan base from that. But with 5 Stone, we're spreading that out. We're getting trying to get into playing a little bit more larger places, which means there's going to be a little bit of road work involved. So it was like, okay, what do we do? So I woke up one morning and I thought, 7 Stone. 7 Stone's cool. 7 stone being a 0, looking like a 0 kind of thing, 70s music, right? So I did a quick Google search and found about 4 bands with that same name it was in the United States, but nothing close by, but it was enough to stop me.
Yeah.
So I started going, okay, well, what about this? What about that? What about that? And I went back I said 5 Stone. That sounds good. So then there was the 5 Stone Revolver, 5 Stone Revolution. I mean, there was tons of stuff that went to it. So finally decided on 5 Stone. A stone is a European English weight measurement, right? Like back in the
kilograms, stones, kilos,
1700s or whatever, equal to about 14 pounds. So 14 times 5 is 70, and we play 70s music. So there you go.
Wow, I'd never come up with that. So that's good. Yeah,
deep.
Perfect. It is.
Yeah, we get a lot of people who say, like, there's only 4 of you. Why is it called 5 Stone? And we're like, well,
because we include the sound guy. How's that?
Shout out Joe Winter,
right, sound guy.
the only person younger than me in the band.
Hey, where are you headed in the future? Where's this band going? What do you think?
To the top.
I like your style, Jack Black.
No, we want to get, we want to just do just be able to perform to our fullest ability, so have the stages and the venues to do it, and that's really what it is.
This music is so much fun, and it's such a blast to play, and we just want as many people to experience that with us. And it's very, very cool to see people who grew up with this music, and this music's in their DNA, and these songs are how they see every song they ever hear. You know, it's through this lens of this music. So having as many people there with us, just enjoying it with us while we're playing it is probably the biggest priority for us, I think.
Scott, you asked something earlier too, about the songs and the song list, and the biggest thing for us is the honesty of it. We tried to do Hotel California, and it was just like, man, it's not happening. You know, we could do it, but we weren't feeling it, you know?
Mhm.
So there's songs in there. Again, it's just being honest, you know, and believing in what you do. And that's really what this thing is. I mean, when we get up on stage, there's a total belief in the songs that we're doing, and it's totally honest.
This is a 70s rock band with a punk rock heart and soul, I think, you know.
Interesting. That Spencer, I love your style, man. I do. I think you're a great addition to this band. And Steve, I've always admired you as a great artist and one of those guys too that are so relatable to you know, when you're off the stage and you're out in the audience talking to people and all that. You're just good people, and that's what I like to see. You're not going and hiding in the parking lot for a safety meeting or any of that. You're out there talking to people and enjoying yourself, and that's a good thing in my opinion. And I've got one last question I want to hit on here that I always ask everybody I interview, and I'm going to start with Spencer on this one.
Okay.
And you no more than just give me the person that we're going to ask. If you could take the stage, Spencer, with anyone, musician wise, past or present, who would be your bucket list stage partner?
Prince.
That's always mine. Thank you. Talented, unbelievably talented, plays every instrument, all that. Yeah.
To me, it's just only one answer. It's just him.
Well,
you know, he's
you
the
for
guy.
that. Now we're going to go back in time with Steve.
Oh, Robert Plant.
And I thought it would be Jimmy Page.
Well, Jimmy Page plays guitar. You said, who would I want to be on stage with?
Ah, so we're digging deep into this. I see. So you're gonna have Robert Plant singing to your playing, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, you know, when you're on stage, I mean, there's been that moment, you know, when you go, man, it would be. I do the Rain song with the acoustic thing, and there's this weird little fantasy that says, God, it would just be so cool to have Robert Plant walk up and sing this.
Yeah, and I would just stand there probably with, you know, my mouth open, drooling or something, acting like a fool because I'd be fanboying out if Robert Plant was on stage.
You know, I'm the same way. But yeah, I wouldn't be able to play. But it's a fantasy.
So we went from Prince to Robert Plant. It's a good combo there. Thank you, fellas, for answering that question. Anything else you want to share with the audience? We're running out of time. So anything else you guys want to share today about your band or tell people?
The biggest thing, I just want to thank everybody for supporting us all these years. I mean, it's just without our fan base and our friends. I mean, it's amazing, you know, just to have these people, you know, that are just always there, and it's wonderful. And that's if you're not a musician, you may not understand that, but it's humbling and just one of the most magical things that's out there. I mean, it's all about them.
Well, and that you've had some great comments today. Obviously, you've got some great followers and folks who come to see your bands play. And I think, Steve, a lot of people here that followed you for, we won't say how many years, but they've been mentioning that in there.
A lot.
And, a lot. Yeah.
Probably about a decade, right?
Longer.
And Steve, you have a great voice for radio as well, by the way, just talking here to you. It sounds really good. Susan, thank you for that. She said, great interview all. And Glenn, thank you on the YouTube channel for the show, he said. And Nan, thank you for that as well. And Sugar Rock is looking forward to seeing you guys play. And that's a good thing. That's what we hope to accomplish when we do these interviews on Wednesday. Is first of all, to get them some likes on their page because they need them. And the more people that follow them, the more people they're going to know where they're playing. So please do that if you can. Jeannie, thank you so much. These are all people you obviously know because I've not seen them on my show before. So they must be friends and family out there. So thank you for that. And anything else, Spencer, you have?
To be in a band with, these three guys who just bring a sort of humble respect and admiration for these songs, really, really puts me into the heart of why we're doing this and what this music's all about. So it's just an honor to play with these guys. We were setting up at Froggy's about a week ago, and I just told them, you know, I'm just excited. I'm just excited. It's just a blast to be doing this and to learn, you know, why that music was what it was and is what it is today. So I'm just grateful to everybody who comes out and sees us. Thank you, guys.
Well, thank you. And thank you, Kenny Patterson, for dropping that link in there as well, being my producer today. I appreciate that very much. Kenny's a good dude. Steve, anything else you want to share before we go bye-bye?
I'm good.
All right. Well, thank you, guys. I appreciate you all and appreciate you two being here. Stay with me for just a few minutes here, if you will, as we go off the air, if you got a minute.
Yep.
And guys, if you haven't yet, share this show. And if you're watching after we're live, please make a comment. The band's going to share it on their pages, and they'll be answering your comments or questions you might have about where they're playing next and all that other good stuff. So thanks for watching today. I will be back tomorrow live at 5 with Who's Playing Out, the best musicians and venues in the tri-state, and who's playing for the week, playing your week of live local music with us. Until then, everybody, get out and support live local music and the bands and venues that bring it to you. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye, everybody.
Working for the weekend, and I want to see a show. I flip on the book of face. Yeah, I know where to go. There's a man over there into the music scene, showing lots of love for the community with great advice. I know who I should go see.
Don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, the views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of our sponsors or any entities they may represent. Thanks for watching today. We'll see you